Hey guys, here is a constructed response I'd like you to work on, and this is after we read chapter 4 together. So it's a constructed response, so anywhere from 8 sentences or more. It doesn't have to be very, very long, and I gave you a sentence starter to get you started. Okay, so your constructed response question is, how does the author contrast the release of Roberto with the release of Edna? And then use details from the text to support your answer. So the first thing you're going to do, your directions are, you're going to choose 2 highlighter colors, and using this text below, you're going to highlight Larissa's description of Roberto with one color and the release of Edna with the other. So I'll start reading that text, and you can pause to highlight any text. Remember, Edna is one color, Roberto is the other. So this morning we celebrated the release of Roberto, she told him. It was wonderful. I knew Roberto, Jonas said. I helped with his feeding the last time I was here, just a few weeks ago. He was a very interesting man. Larissa opened her eyes happily. They told his whole life before they released him, she said. They always do. But to be honest, she whispered with a mischievous look, some of the tellings are a little boring. I've seen some of the old fall asleep during tellings, when they released Edna recently. Did you know Edna? Jonas shook his head. He couldn't recall anyone named Edna. Well, they tried to make her life sound meaningful. And of course, she added primly, all lives are meaningful. I don't mean that they aren't. But Edna, my goodness, she was a birth mother, and then she worked in food production for years until she came here. She never even had a family unit. Larissa lifted her head and looked around to make sure that no one else was listening, and then she confided, I don't think Edna was very smart. Jonas laughed. He rinsed her left arm, laid it back into the water, and began to wash her feet. She murmured with pleasure as he massaged her feet with a sponge. But Roberto's life was wonderful, Larissa went on after a moment. He had been an instructor of 11s. You know how important that is. And he'd been on the planning committee. And goodness, I don't know how he found the time. He also raised 2 very successful children. And he was also the one who did the landscaping design for the Central Plaza. He didn't do the actual labor, of course. Okay, so after you've done your highlighting, you're going to write a paragraph of at least 8 sentences showing the differences between how Larissa viewed both of their lives. So make sure that you include quotes that you highlighted to back up your claim, explain your claim in your own words, and of course, include a concluding sentence. So there is a sentence starter here for you, and you can include that in your total number of 8 sentences. You don't have to use the sentence starter, it's just an example, to get you going. So both Edna and Roberto were released from the house of the old. Although she said both lives were meaningful, Edna viewed, and then you're going to pick either Edna or Roberto's life as more interesting and successful. And then you're going to go on to give your more of your assertion, which is your claim. You're going to back it up with quotes, and then you're going to explain those quotes. Okay. If you scroll all the way down, there is a little bit of a rubric to help you out. So it's out of a total of 2 points to make sure that you did all of these things. If you're in this column, you don't get any points. So you want to stick with definitely this column here. Okay. All right, that's it. And I will see you soon.